Tonight and every other night, ENCA invites a variety of newsmakers who will get their chance to host a show and interviewing people with whom they disagree. And it gives you an opportunity to get involved in the conversation. Unfiltered, accountable, and accessible. It all starts now. Tonight, we will be talking about regulation of medical aids in the context of healthcare service providers, whether the audits which result in reversal of medical claims by medical schemes is lawful or not. To help me unpack the issue, I've invited Thembekile Phashwane from the Medical Skills, or rather the Council for Medical Schemes, and Rajesh Patel from Board of Healthcare Funders. Well, we'll have it out on how lawful are the audits by medical aids and whether they are conducting themselves according to the law when they do these audits against health service providers. You can be part of the conversation by getting involved in the following ways.
Tweet us at ENCA using the hashtag LHIO. Call us on 011-759-6340 or send us a WhatsApp or WhatsApp video on 082-884-6370. And make sure those videos are no longer than 30 seconds, please.
Thank you. I have next to me Ms. Thembekile Phashwane from the Council for Medical Schemes and Mr. Rajesh Patel from the Board of Medical Funders, right?
Good evening.
Yes. Now, Ms. Thembekile, there's a view amongst medical practitioners that medical schemes are law unto themselves. Can you just, what is your view regarding whether they are a law unto themselves and as to what is the role of the council in regulating medical aids?
Thank you, Amanda. The view of Council for Medical Schemes is that view that is held by service providers or healthcare practitioners that medical schemes are a law unto themselves is unfounded and is incorrect. The medical schemes are governed and they are also regulated by Council for Medical Schemes. Council for Medical Schemes is a statutory body that is established by the Medical Schemes Act 131 of 1998. What we do, we regulate the business of the medical scheme. So all the activities that they perform on a day-to-day basis are supervised by CMS, and we do a number of activities as Council for Medical Schemes to make sure that whatever medical schemes that they are doing is in compliance with the Medical Schemes Act.
Okay. Now, get an instance where you might not necessarily have eyes at the back of your head. You might not know whether they are compliant at all instances. How do you encourage the public or whomever has a complaint against the medical schemes to come to the council?
What we always encourage is that members who have complaints against medical schemes must approach their medical schemes first to lodge their complaints. We believe that that's a first port of call in order for them, medical scheme, to get an opportunity to go through the complaint, investigate it, and come to a finding. If they are not happy or aggrieved by a decision of that particular medical scheme, it's only then that they may approach Council for Medical Schemes. There's a section that is also give us powers as Council for Medical Schemes to investigate complaints and settle disputes in relation to any affairs that are provided for in the Medical Schemes Act. Even though we've got that empowering provision, but it's always advisable that they need to approach their medical schemes first, because in most instances, members, it could either be they are just discouraged or they don't trust the medical scheme themselves. That's why you find them not even exhausting the dispute resolution mechanisms that are available at scheme. You find them coming as direct as the first port of call in lodging their complaints.
Okay, so Mr. Patel, your organization is a voluntary association of medical aids. It represents basically different medical aids. Now, there's a thorny issue here where it comes to reversal of claims by medical schemes, claims made by medical practitioner on behalf of members of medical aids. Now, it is a wide-held view that they unilaterally decide to reverse the claims, and what we want to know is whether, when they reverse these claims for services that have already been provided, what authorizes them to reverse these claims? Whether there is law that authorizes them, or is there any regulation that authorizes them to reverse these kind of claims?
Yeah, I think we've got to look at medical schemes. For starters, medical schemes is a trust. The money doesn't belong to them. It's not something that comes out of their own. It's membership money put together in a trust, similar to the Stockfell scenario,
Yes.
and that money has to be looked after as trust money. So when claims come through, obviously the administrators of medical schemes would process those claims as legitimate claims that have incurred by members, and you process them, and those get paid. There's a rule in the CMS legislation that says it must be paid within 30 days.
Yes.
So unlike in the old days, 20 years ago, it used to take sometimes 90 days to process claims. Because of those rules that must be paid in 90 days, most often those claims get processed at face value. And then after that, those get audited with various technologies, trends, patterns, etc. You look at, and you start investigation if there are problems. But the principle is you accept it at face value, it's legitimate claims, and you process them. Often there are rules, and sometimes those claims get rejected for further information, etc. The section that you're referring to is Section 59, that empowers schemes to be able to reverse claims that they have found to be fraudulent or incorrectly paid or overpaid in any form, etc. That does empower them to do that. But obviously, you work on the principle that there are certain procedures and practices that are administratively reasonable to put in place and identify the problem, then you can do it. But I think the important thing is you don't just do it out of hand kind of thing. You always need to engage those participants as to why these claims may have come through, or if you reverse, that information must get communicated to the service provider and the member whose claim got reversed.
Well, Mr. Patel, I think I seem to disagree with you when you say Section 59 authorizes these medical schemes to reverse these claims. If you read that Section 59, well, I'm not going to quote it verbatim, but it says that it provides that you can reverse or deduct those payments when there's fraud that has been committed or the amounts have been paid erroneously. Now, if I give you a scenario of where the medical aid says, please provide us with your purchases, invoices where you purchase your medication, saying to a pharmacist or a doctor, the invoices of where you made purchases from 2014 November to 2018 September. In that regard, you would think to yourself, the medical aid they want to audit my practice. Why would they want to know where I buy my things from? And if you don't respond in the positive, they unilaterally decide that you owe them and they're not going to make any payments to you any further. That now, if I understand the word fraud correctly, you would have had to be investigated, and it is found that you have made a mispresentation to the medical aid or to a member of the medical aid. Now, in this scenario, there is no, I can't say there is a positive identification of fraud to a point where the medical aid unilaterally decides to not to pay you, or they decide that you owe them.
I think the whole issue is how the process is conducted. If you suspect fraud, yes, there are certain things that might lead medical schemes to think there might be fraud here. Yes, they would conduct their own fraud investigation within the institution, look at trends, patterns, claims, etc. And I mean, having been in practice myself, I know that what happens out there, for example, the best example is often medicine. A generic gets presented to the patient and the ethical might be charged. That's the kind of example where a pharmacist or a doctor, a dispensing doctor might be asked, show us the invoices that you actually purchased this product that you're charging for. And that would be the type of scenario.
You have to hold it right there. We'll continue our conversation after the ad break. This is Let's Have It Out.